What's going on, happy hikers out there? My name is John Kelly. I'm here with Jeremiah Stringer, and this is the Backpacking Podcast brought to you by Outdoor Vitals, makers of Performance First ultralight gear. And right now, and I mean right now, when you're watching this or listening to this, if you're listening to it as it's being released, it is the 28th of August. The 28th and the 29th are the last days of the 10-year anniversary sale. So if you're wanting to get out there and get some great deals on some killer gear, now is the time to do it. You got today and tomorrow, and that's it. If it is the 30th of August, you can't buy stuff at that sale because the sale's over.
Yeah, and I will add, if you're shopping the sale, you do get entered to win some free swag. For example, Teresa won today. I got an email.
I saw that.
Teresa won today, and she won a Turn Merino Wool Sun hoodie, which is the exact sun hoodie that I wore whenever I done the Camino de Santiago. That's right. We mailed her you stinky. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep. But we use Tech Wash, so it doesn't smell as bad.
Yeah.
If you listen to last week's episode, you understand that.
But yeah, if y'all want more entries, you can spend more money on there. You sign up for their email list. You do get 10 extra entries for every $1 that you spend during the sale. So get in there and buy yourself some good gear from OutdoorVitals.com.
Absolutely. Big thank you to Outdoor Vitals for being an incredible sponsor of the show. Good friends of the show as well. And Taysom, you look fantastic with the short beard, man.
Oh, yeah, Taysom, he's killing it.
He looks GQ now. You know, he went from like mountain man to GQ, like overnight.
Yeah, trying to achieve the status that he already achieved.
Yeah, you've got a good jump start on him, too. Like, he's going to have a tough time catching up with you now.
Dude, I won't spend too long on the beard talk here. I know it's funny that whenever we first started this podcast and people could respond with feedback, which I try not to read because sometimes it's negative. It turns us into the negative complaining backpacking podcast. But, yeah, they said you got too much beard talk, so I'll keep it short. We started back school, right? And I've completed my first week of exhausting education. And I knew I needed to trim my beard up on Thursday because one of my former students come up from last year, and she said, you look like a caveman, right? I'm like, what? She said, you're wearing a tie, you're all dressed up, and your beard is just crazy. I said, yeah, I'm a little bit too Amish right now. They got the bushy beards that go out.
Yeah.
So I had to bring it in. It almost made me late for work on Friday.
I feel like you should wear a loincloth and bring a club with you. Just one day. Just one day.
Well, maybe I could wear the loincloth over my pants because I think that's a quick way to get fired from the public school system. Listen, I don't care if you're tenured or not. It's
an animal skin. Animal skin.
Yeah, but I did bring it in. Now we're nice and tailored, and it looks good.
Yeah, it looks good, man. You look great. You look great. I actually got a haircut this week, which I've needed for like 2 months. But hey, so get this. The National Park System celebrates 108 years this week.
Oh.
Happy birthday, National Park System.
Yeah, National Park System, we talked a little bit about them the last week or two as well, I think, because they do some great stuff. They do charge us some permits and stuff, but somewhat necessary. Happy birthday to the National Park Service. And they run something here in Kentucky. You know what it is?
Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about it.
We used to go here as kids, dude. I don't know if we've talked about this before, but the go-to field trip, if you're South Central Kentucky, is Mammoth Cave. And it's a national park run by MPS. You know, you take the kids down there, you get a tour. And I saw this advertisement on Facebook. Can you care to read the caption there?
Well, I've got it full screen right now. Do you have it so you can read it? Because I can't read it while it's full screen. Let me see. Let me get on here and see what I can find here. It says, come experience what has disappointed millions of people for over 225 years. Mammoth Cave National Park recently rated as one of the most disappointing U.S. tourist attractions. It says, let me get us back in here. It says, while we think the world's largest and longest cave system in over 4,000 years of human history is amazing, Others find that the cave is very dark and there's nothing cool here to see. So, if you would like to experience the disappointment of Mammoth Cave, visit our website and choose one of our many activities that will leave you unfulfilled. You can be disappointed by a dry hole with very few stalagmites and stalactites, or discover nothing other than trees on over 80 plus miles of hiking, biking, horseback riding, and water trails. Fair warning, there are bugs in the outdoors. Cellular phone service is spotty, and there are stairs on some of our cave tours. A world of regret awaits you at Mammoth Cave. And then it says, make your tour reservation today.
Oh, how would you describe their advertisement, John?
Fantastic. Have you read, okay, so have you ever sat down and read like reviews of state parks?
No, I don't think I ever have.
I
feel
think that's next week's topic.
okay,
'Cause
we can hit some of those.
I'm telling you, man, it's the most ridiculous thing you've ever read in your life.
Well, what do you expect whenever you're heading to the outdoors? You think it's going to be bug free? You think in a cave that it's going to be just totally dry, good grip, not slipping at all, no stairs. It's going to be nice and lit.
Yeah.
No, it's a cave.
Well, one of them was from like January in Yellowstone, I think. And it said something along the lines of none of the trees had leaves on them. This was so boring.
What time of year did they go?
January.
January and the trees didn't have leaves. Yeah, this is what I'm saying, man.
Oh,
What
man.
do you expect out there? Is common sense not so common?
It's not. It's not. So I say next week, let's take a note, Jeremiah. You only seem to have pencil and paper and stuff around you. Take a note. We need to talk about that next week.
All right.
We definitely need to talk about that.
I'll definitely jot that down because that's a funny topic.
It is. Now, I will say Mammoth Cave does have hiking and camping trails and backpacking trails and all that kind of stuff that you can do out there. And yeah, I think Mammoth Caves are fascinating. I think that whole area is just fascinating. And I've enjoyed every time I've been out there. But it's just funny, you know, that people complain about, what did it say? A dry hole with very few stalagmites and stalactites.
Very demure.
Very demure.
Yeah, I don't know which one comes from the stilling. Stalactites or stalagmites? Do you know?
I don't know.
There's got to be a
My
mnemonic.
cave game is off right now, man. I should know that stuff, right?
I remember. I won't name any names here, but I'll tell you a quick story from whenever I took our field trip. So I've never been the chaperone on a field trip to Mammoth Cave. I've only went as a student. I remember they took us in middle school. They took us on a bus. It took us about 2 hours to get there. And then you had the choice of either taking Cave Tour 1 or Cave Tour 2. Now, Cave Tour 1 took you super deep in the cave, and they gave you a few highlights that you're going to see. One of them was one of the rooms, it's pitch black. So they turn all the lights off and let you just see how dark it is. Another room, when they turn the lights down, it looks like an infinite lake, like endless, bottomless lake that's in there because of the reflection on the water. And I remember another one, you had to go through what was called Fat Man Squeeze.
Yes,
Now,
I've been through there.
So you've been through that tour. Without naming any names, dude, I thought, there's just one kid, and I'm Facebook friends with him now, and he's always been a big guy, and I use that loosely. When I say big guy, I mean he had to be over 250, 300 pounds. We were like 4th or 5th grade, so he was short and he was hefty. And they said we had to go through Fat Man Squeeze, and he got stuck in there, dude. I'm not joking. As like a elementary kid. Yeah,
Oh,
it was tough. I mean, he didn't
That
get stuck in
stinks.
there and like have to have emergency rescue or anything. But you're talking about tight, man. It took him a couple of minutes to make it through that little, I don't know how long it is, 10, 15 feet. It's not very much. But
and elementary school kids are not the nicest kids in the world with stuff.
oh, they're mean, dude.
Oh, dude.
You at 9, 8 years old, kids are just mean. Yeah,
That's
but
brutal.
once I was done, you know, you always got FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah.
And I was like, what was Tour 2? And Tour 2 had all of these crazy formations coming off the ceiling and coming up from the ground. And that's what's got me thinking, I don't know, stalagmite and
I know
stalactite.
what they are, and I remember
Oh,
why I know what they are, and I double
all right.
checked and I was right, and it made me feel good about myself. You've got
Okay. Well,
stalagmites and you got stalactites. Stalagmites stand mighty from the floor. Stalactites hold tightly to the ceiling. So the stalactites are the ones that hang from the ceiling. The stalagmites are the ones that are on the ground.
all right.
I
Learned
remember
something new.
being taught that when I was a kid.
Yeah. Just another example of the public education system failing me. I don't remember that one.
Well, I didn't have a Kentucky education, so mine was a little bit better.
You had the Ohio education?
It wasn't Ohio. Actually, that was a New York education, I think.
Oh, maybe they do it
That
right in New York.
that might have been part of my New York education because I was
Yeah.
I was
And
educated in multiple states.
by the way, real quick, your New York education, was that like inner city New York City? Was that a suburb? Was
Oh
that a
no,
rural New York
rural New
public
York.
school?
I lived in Cortland, New York, which is upstate, about a half hour south of Syracuse. Cortland is the dead center of the state of Kentucky. They had T-shirts back then called the heart of or Kentucky, New York. They said it was the heart of New York. And if you've ever heard of Cortland apples, that's where they're grown, Cortland, New York.
Oh, yeah,
So
so rural
yeah,
setting.
farms everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the education if you're in the city versus the rural in New York, but I don't remember that one.
Now,
So,
Cortland itself is like 30,000. At least back then, it was about 30,000 people. That was like in the early 80s.
mhm.
So when you weren't born yet. Um, that's
Yeah.
that's when that was. So
Well,
so yeah, that was a long time ago.
I also have about the caves. In Kentucky, we have a lot of caves, and I know we got listeners all over the country and all over the world. But there's some massive cave systems in Kentucky, and I remember my hometown. They use some of them to run electrical line, and it's
Hmm.
like I grew up in housing projects, and these apartment complexes. I would leave, and you find some woods to explore with your friends and stuff. Dude, we stumbled on this cave that's near the housing projects, climbed down in there, and the electric company had it like blocked up. We opened it up. There's wires running everywhere in there. I was like, this is
Wow.
literally built on top of caves, this town. And then I moved to Bowling Green and went to WKU. Dude, part of the road on one of the roads collapsed and there was just a giant sinkhole there. And it was
Well,
part of that whole cave system and the
you know that
Corvette plant
you know
near.
that most of Kentucky is on sinkholes, right?
Well, I guess sinkhole means there has to be a cave under there, right?
I guess. I just know that I forget what the website is, but you can go to it and look, and you can see it, that everywhere in Kentucky is basically a sinkhole. Actually, one of my favorite places to go is Carter Caves. I don't know if you spent much time out at Carter Caves, but
Uh-huh.
when I was in college, it was 15 minutes from my college, and so I would go out there all the time. And we had caves where you didn't have to have a permit, you didn't have to do anything other than sign in and let them know that you went in the caves. So if you didn't
Mhm.
come out, they'd go find you. And I used to bring, like when I was a youth minister, I'd bring all my kids out there and we'd go explore these caves. Some of them, the water would be up to your chest, and you'd have to
No
like hold everything
way.
above your head and walk through the caves. And then we crawl up into these other little rooms that were in the middle of the caves. And there was one, um, like a little mini tunnel. It's about as wide as a person can fit through it. And there was a hiking path, and the little tunnel, you crawled through it under the hiking path, and it came out the other side.
What in the world? This is all at Carter
It's
Caves?
at Carter Caves, yeah. They had to close it down for a few years. They had a real issue with bats that had gone rabid, and so they had to shut down the public caves for a while, like the non-tour caves, because in the state of Kentucky, bats are protected. So you couldn't do anything. They couldn't do anything about the bats until the bat situation basically took care of itself, I guess.
What do they call the bat poop? There's like a special word
Guano,
for it. Guano. Yeah, and
guano.
that right there is bad for human beings. I think that carries a ton of diseases, and like you said, you can have rabid
The
bats.
only word I have for that is bumblebee tuna.
What's that mean?
If you've ever watched Ace Ventura, you know. If you haven't, you won't.
I
So
have
there will be
watched it.
people, there will be the Gen Xers out there know what I'm talking about. Bumblebee tuna.
I just Googled like Google image of Carter Caves. Looks like a lot of areas with handrails and stuff. So I guess they give a ton of tours.
Oh yeah, they have a ton of tours. They even have their own little natural bridge out there too. I actually got
think I've seen-
engaged under that bridge, under that natural
Really?
bridge. Yeah, I didn't marry that girl, but yeah, we got engaged there.
Did you at least bring a ring?
No, actually, we were broke. We were both broke at the time. So
Okay.
we were freshmen in
Well,
college. It was one of those things where you're a freshman in college and you fall in love, and then you wise up and realize that was dumb, and you don't do that. So speaking of dumb things, Jeremiah, speaking of dumb things, people sometimes with their camp food, especially when they get started, I see people with full jars of peanut butter, cans of beans, you know, this stuff like that's not bad if you're going to go like just out for a night and hike back. But like if you're going to go 3, 4, 5 days out in the woods, that's not the stuff you want to take with you backpacking, right?
Yeah, but I did it.
But you did it. But you've learned, right? You've learned since then. Now,
I learned, yeah, don't take long.
and so we usually end up moving to these freeze-dried meals or like north sides and things like that, right? That's usually typically what people do with their foods.
Yeah, $15 to $20. You can have one in your mailbox today.
Exactly. Well, I decided to try something different on my last trip a few weeks ago.
Oh, really? What do you got cooking?
I decided to get on Amazon and just buy a whole bunch of number 10 cans of different freeze-dried foods. So like chicken, beef, pork, vegetables. I bought minute rice, some fruit, different things like that. And Jeremiah, I've started creating my own backpacking food. And so these meals now, instead of costing me like anywhere from $7 to $15 for one meal, cost me somewhere in the neighborhood of $2.50 to $3.
So did you say a number 11?
Number 10 cans. Number 10 cans
First
of
of all,
freeze-dried food.
I have multiple questions here. Let's unpack this a little bit.
Fire the questions away. Well, let me tell you how this all started.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me tell you how this all started. So this last year, there's a YouTube channel I love to watch called Guga Foods. I don't know if you've ever watched it. It's Guga, Guga Foods. He's what country is he from? It's not Cuba. I don't know. He's from a Caribbean country, I believe, or a South American country. I can't remember which one. But he makes these incredible steaks. He's all about steaks.
Brazil.
But it might be Brazil. Yeah, it might be Brazil. But he also like sous vide his food. Now, if you don't know what sous vide is, basically sous vide is you put your food in a plastic bag, vacuum seal it, and drop it into like a vat of water with a constant heat going, and that cooks your food. Okay? I've been watching this guy for years, and I had a buddy who started doing this about a year ago. Started sous videing his food, and I had one of his steaks, and it changed my life. And so I decided I'm going to do that this year. So when we moved into the new house, I got a vacuum sealer, and I got a sous vide wand and a thing to put it down into to cook food. And I'm telling you, dude, we've had the best salmon, pork chops, steak, chicken, everything when you do it sous vide. So basically it's cooking nothing will get as hot. Well, when you're cooking something, nothing will ever get hotter than its heat source, right?
Yeah.
Basic science.
It can't.
Yeah. So if you've got your water at a constant temperature of 130 degrees, what's in that water will never get hotter than that.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you have it in there for the right amount of time, you're guaranteed your food is going to be the perfect doneness.
Oh, okay.
And then you pull it out, and then there's two different ways you can sear the outside of the meat. You can do it with I have a torch that looks like a gun, which is really cool. It's called the sous vide gun, and it's this massive blowtorch like thing. And so I'll just sear the outside of the meat with that, or you can put it on a really hot grill, like a charcoal grill, and you can sear the outside of the meat that way. That way you've got the outside sear. So it's almost like a reverse sear when you're cooking the food. So that's how I got started with this. I started doing this vacuum sealing thing with my food, and I started thinking, you know, these stupid meals, they vacuum seal these things. I got a vacuum sealer. And about a year ago, a few years ago, I got a dehydrator, and I bought a bunch of these Mylar bags to put my dehydrated food in. And I went, I wonder if I could vacuum seal those. Because then you just peel off the top, and you've got a Ziploc underneath it. And I was like, well, shoot, man. I can make my own meals. And they're just like these ones I'm buying from other people. And so I bought all those cans, and then all I would do is figure out my seasoning, like what I thought the seasoning should be, threw the seasoning in there with it, went out to camp, and the kid I was camping with had gotten these like MREs. And the first night I get out there and I have beef and broccoli with rice. And I eat that, dude. It was so good. And I'm like, why has nobody else done this? Maybe they are. I'm just an idiot, and I'm so far behind. I don't, But I'm telling you, dude, it was awesome. And what I found out is you don't need as much food as you think you do. Because I saw one serving was like a half a cup of something. And so I was like, I'm going to put a full cup in there. I couldn't eat all the food. So it's probably a touch cheaper than what I actually was spending on it for the first time out.
Well, let's go back. So
Okay.
on the cooking part, so this guy's name is
Guga.
Guga.
Yeah.
Guga.
Guga.
Okay, I googled in Brazil. Obviously, they're known for their meat. You have these Brazilian steakhouses and stuff. So this wand that you're using, what is the word that you're saying?
Sous vide. It's SOUSVIDE.
Okay, so
I think it's French. So, they drop their rifles.
okay, so you're not boiling the food.
No, you're not
heating
boiling
it
the food.
So you're setting it to a temperature, and once it reaches that temperature, does the wand know and click off?
It regulates the temperature. So it
But
doesn't get
it
above a certain
regulates-
temperature.
Yeah, but it doesn't regulate the temperature of the food, right? It's not like you have a food thermometer that's hooked
No.
to that wand.
That's why you have to know times.
Okay, so you'd be like, it needs to be here for 8 minutes or whatever, and that's going to be the right moistness and the right temp.
Well,
it's going to bring
the thing
food
is,
up.
you don't have to really worry about moistness as much because it's in a bag. The moistness, there's no moisture getting out.
Okay, well, first of all, let me tell you this. I saw this video, and I guess somebody had reposted it somewhere because it was a TikTok, but I know I didn't watch it on TikTok. I was guessing this guy was a trucker because he's like cooking nachos in a hotel room, in a hotel bathroom. Have you seen this video?
No, I have not seen this video.
Well, after this show, I had to send it to you, and you all can look it up, but I don't know. Anyway, I have it bookmarked. I'll send it to you. So this guy, he makes nachos in a hotel bathroom. And my first thought was, this is absolutely disgusting because
Yeah.
he put some kind of device in the sink and then cooked the ground beef in the sink using that. And I assume it's exactly what you're describing. Sous vide?
Sous vide.
Sous vide, sorry.
Yeah.
So sous vide. And he gets done and he opens up the spout to let the water drain out, and it's just like nasty brown dirty water. And he like
disgusting.
cuts up all this stuff and lays out all these nacho chips and has this big spread. He makes guac on the sink, like cuts up his avocado and seasons everything.
Does he get like Lysol or something and like wipe down everything before he does all this?
Dude, I hope so. I'll have to send you the video, like I said, but I was like, what is he using to cook this with? And, I looked at some of the comments, and of course, everybody's like, ooh, look how nasty. That's the go-to response, but look like delicious nachos. I mean, I would have eaten them if they were at a restaurant and I didn't know they come out of a hotel bathroom, but he's using this little wand. So I assume it's what you're talking about. And I don't know. Something about this just, maybe I'm not giving it a chance, but I'm used to like grilling or baking or frying, but not really when it comes to meat. There's something weird about putting it in water to cook it.
That is a sous vide wand. But here's the thing. When you sous vide, you put your food in a bag where the water doesn't get to it.
Okay. Well, I think
he's not sous videing. He's just being gross. Like that.
you
What
watching
he's
the
doing is
video?
gross.
Are you watching the video right now?
Yes, I'm watching it right now. I'm not even going to put this on screen because it's disgusting. Like,
What did you Google? What can people Google?
he's like destroying the sous vide while doing this. Oh, dude, no. No, that is not sous vide. Yes, he's using a sous vide wand, but he's destroying it.
Well, my initial impressions were wrong then because I was just my only experience with the wand, the sous vide, is this guy.
No. The food is in a vacuum sealed bag, and then you put the bag down in the water.
Okay, well then he's doing it wrong.
Yo, he's totally doing it wrong. It's disgusting. Like, why? I mean, the guy's name is Barfly, so like, I don't know, man. Oh, that's
5 bars for sure.
Dump dinner nachos is what he calls those.
Yeah, he sat taking a dump while he ate them. Did you watch the whole video?
No.
It's only like 40 seconds.
I mean, by the time I got to where I saw what the sous vide one looked like when he pulled it out with all the meat inside of it.
Yeah.
Gosh. That was totally done just for a movie or for a video. Like I guarantee he never used that thing again.
Well, he ate all those nachos. If you
I'm
watch
sure he ate all those nachos. He did it because he made a movie or a video. He made a video and he had to eat the nachos at that point. That's just
the video
gross.
worked. I'm on here talking about it.
Good night. Oh.
Okay, so let's go.
Somebody
back to
put prayer hands. 3 prayer hands as a comment for that. Like I'm praying for you.
praying for his digestive system.
Like there's so many people with just the wide eye emoji. Somebody, I'm just here for the comments.
That was me.
Okay, so that is not sous vide. Okay, I just want to point out that is the exact opposite. Like that's just gross. So, anyways, I'm done with that.
Yeah. Well, I guess whenever you make stew and that kind of thing, you're putting the meat into water that's heating it to cook it. So it's not the weirdest thing.
Not in a bathroom sink.
Not in a bathroom sink. So for yours,
it's in a pot.
Let's go back. Let's go back and unpack this a little bit. So the number 10 cans. First of all, what does that mean? Are you buying in bulk or
they're the big cans. You know, like you can buy Mountain House parts of Mountain House meals or full Mountain House meals in giant cans that you can just divvy out to what you want to be for servings.
Okay, but the drawback is that it expires sooner, right? Because it's coming in a can, you're opening the can, exposing it to air.
The secret to doing that is you freeze it. Like the moment you open it, you get what you need, then you stick it in the freezer and leave them in the freezer.
Okay,
or that makes them last longer. So
would you want to prepare it right before? I guess
if you want to prepare like 1,000 meals at one time, you can do that. What I'm doing is I've got mine in the freezer, and then I have oxygen absorbers that I bought an entire kit on Amazon that was these Mylar bags and some bigger ones. And inside of those, I've also got like oxygen absorbers, so I can throw those into the bags with them.
Okay.
So that the food doesn't go bad. So plus when you vacuum seal, it pulls all the air out anyways. So the chances of it going bad are even lower at that point.
Okay. So you got the number 10 cans.
Yes.
Okay. Let's pick one meal and go through this meal. So give me your favorite or your favorite so far that you prepped. What's the name of the meal? And then we're going to go through it.
We'll just stick with the one I mentioned first, just because it's the easiest one to talk about. The beef with broccoli. Okay. So beef and broccoli. So
a number 10 can of ground beef, and it's already cooked.
It's not ground beef. I didn't get ground beef. I got beef strips.
Beef strips. Okay.
Yeah.
Higher quality.
Yeah. Well, for freeze dried, higher quality. But I did the beef strips, and then this thing right here, you can't read it because it's shiny. Let's see if it'll show. Broccoli. So this is just a little helping of broccoli that I did.
Oh, you don't mix it all in one.
Oh no,
bag.
you do, but I'm just showing you this. This is what I took a little bit of the broccoli and the beef, put it in the bag, enough to make the meal. Threw in minute rice. Minute rice I use because minute rice only takes 5 minutes to rehydrate. So I figure if I use minute rice, that's a safer bet than putting in regular rice, which takes up to 30 minutes in boiling water to rehydrate, or I guess to actually cook, I should say. So. Basically, all minute rice is pre-cooked rice that's dehydrated or freeze-dried. So
Isn't that weird? That is so weird. I use it all the time.
yeah,
5-minute microwave rice, but it's so weird.
yeah,
Cook it, hydrate it, but it comes dehydrated. But oh well.
yeah. So
So
I just literally throw the rice, the beef, and the broccoli down in there, and then I season it. And so I just use your basic seasonings that you would use like with a roast,
but when
like
you're buying,
oregano, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, um, basil, thyme, rosemary, stuff like that, and threw that in there with it. And then um, the water, I was real close on.
what did you get?
I
2/3?
it took a lot more water because I made too much food. But if I
Uh-huh.
did a regular portion, it's probably between 8 and 10 ounces of water,
Okay.
which
Yeah,
isn't
look.
terrible, really. So
I mean, what's the normal Mountain House and all that stuff? I know peak refuel is usually a little lower, but some of the Mountain House and that kind of stuff is like 2 cups.
yeah, it'd be like
So
12 to 16 ounces for a lot of those.
yeah, so you're even under on there, even with a little bit extra food.
Yeah. Now, when I did the full food, it was about 2 cups because I made too much food. I just made way too much food the first time I did these. But
Well, you got to learn.
yeah. And so you just put the water in just like you normally would, let it sit for 12 minutes. I think is what I did to be safe because that's what the typical freeze dried meals are.
Hmm.
And everything was hydrated. I didn't have any crunchy meat. Because I think everybody's had that at some point where you didn't let it sit long enough and you tried to eat it and you had those crunchy pieces of freeze dried meat that didn't quite rehydrate.
Yeah, or if
So
you don't stir it enough.
yeah. Now I did learn you really because the food wasn't freeze dried with the seasoning.
Hmm.
Um, I really had to stir it well when I was doing the seasoning, like when I was actually cooking it, because the seasoning will all just sit on the bottom. So it's like,
Oh man,
yeah,
that sounds nasty.
it wasn't too bad with the broccoli and the broccoli and the beef, but I
Hmm.
did like chicken sauce. Was it chicken street tacos? Was one of the ones I did, and
Hmm.
man, let me tell you, I was like, man, this isn't even spicy. What's wrong with this? And then I got to the bottom. Jeremiah, it was spicy. It was really
What was
spicy.
the? Did you use crushed red pepper or something to make it
I
spicy? That maybe
found I found
paprika.
sriracha powder.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know they made that.
I didn't either. I found it one day, and at the grocery store, and I was like, "Well, shoot, man, I love sriracha."
Uh
So
huh.
I got sriracha powder, and yeah, that stuff it tastes like sriracha. I mean, it's good. But what I think I'm also figuring out is what I may do in the future is I may take the seasoning and put it in its own little packet,
That's what I was gonna ask you.
and
Put it
it
in separate.
well, separate, and then just as it's cooking, take a little bit of water and put it in the packet and turn it into almost like a sauce, and
Hmm.
then pour that in after it heats up. And I'm thinking that might be the secret sauce to like make it taste right.
Yeah, I like that secret sauce. So
Woo, buddy!
in in here in about 2 or 3 years, you're gonna be ready to mass produce these and
No,
sell them in
I'm
your
not
garage.
at all.
These are for sale.
Nope, nope, I'm not.
No,
Not in the least
John
bit.
Kelly special.
Nope.
Hmm.
These are going to be John Kelly's personal creations for John Kelly because
Well, if you ever
I've got way too much to do. I got a podcast to take care of. I don't have time to make food for people.
you we get out into the woods, you make it extra, man. I would love to try
Yeah.
one. I
Maybe I
was
can
gonna
inspire you to try the same thing.
Well, it seems like a lot of work. I'd almost rather pay for it, but I mean, those things are going to be $20 pretty soon, and
Uh,
that's a tough pill to swallow. $20 a meal.
well, here's the thing. I'm uh I'm getting into hunting this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Where I live now, everybody has farms and everybody hunts. And so I'm like, you know what? I've not pulled the trigger literally yet until this year. And so I want to give a shout out to my beautiful wife Rhea. She okayed for me to buy guns.
Oh my gosh, is this your
So
first gun purchase ever?
no, no, I've got handguns. I've always had handguns. I've always enjoyed going to the range and shooting. It's fun. I mean, anybody who's done it, like I've met people who are anti-gun until they go to a range and shoot, and the next thing you know, they're buying guns.
Yeah, there's some there's videos, on YouTube of dedicated just to exactly what you're describing. People
Yeah.
trying it. They're like, "Wow." It is. It's part of how I grew up, though. It's part of the
Yeah.
culture.
So
For
yeah, I
people
bought
that
I bought a hunting rifle. Got
Mhm.
a Savage Arms 308 rifle. Picked up a Winchester shotgun and
Ah,
a Smith and Wesson 22 rifle that I will use when the kids get a little bit older to teach them gun safety and how to be responsible. So,
sounds like you're covering. So with the 308, I assume you're deer hunting.
oh yeah, definitely deer hunting.
You got I don't know what your Winchester is, maybe a 12 gauge.
It's a 12 gauge.
Yeah. So now you're covering all kinds of bases. I mean, you could
And
turkey hunt.
now I can go turkey hunting, I can go duck hunting, I can go, other
I
kind of
mean,
waterfowl.
yeah.
Around here,
And
dove hunting's a big one.
yeah, duck hunting. I don't know about exactly where you live, but especially across northern Kentucky, like Green River area and that kind of stuff, duck hunting, just fowl in general,
Yeah.
is huge.
Well, I was
Um,
shocked at the dove hunting that people do. That's huge around here.
yeah, isn't that how Dick Cheney shot that guy?
I don't know, man. I'm not even totally
Weren't they
sure on that
dove?
one.
Weren't they
Might have
dove
been.
hunt?
Might have been. No, he was
Somebody,
pheasant hunting, wasn't he?
I don't know.
I feel like he was hunting, which I wouldn't mind doing that too. Here's the thing, and this is I think that putting food on the table
Uh huh.
has gotten so freaking expensive,
Oh my gosh, man.
and
Yes.
the idea of being able to shoot my own food just seems like a better idea to me. You know?
Yeah. There's a lot of people transitioning toward that. Um, my only thing is like processing the meat. Like if you kill a deer, your choices are either process it yourself, have somebody to help you, or pay somebody to do it.
Right.
And I think that's really the only options that I can think of.
But the thing is, it's not really expensive to process a deer. Even if you do take it in, a lot of times if you're just getting regular meat from it, it's like
Hmm.
85 bucks.
Okay.
And you're getting about 120 pounds of meat.
Hmm.
So it's less than $1 for a pound of meat, and that's insanely inexpensive. That's insanely cheap.
I guess you can pick pick how you do it. There's a lot of people that like they backpack hunt. I don't know if you're super familiar with this, but like
Yeah,
you can get into it's like a draw, like a lottery system a lot of times, and people go to Colorado or Montana or wherever.
right.
And I think that can be pretty expensive because then you're either having to fly out there or drive out there from wherever you live.
But
Us would
it's a
be
lot
Kentucky.
like backpacking. It's the experience on that too, because you're going into some pretty phenomenal places to do
Yeah,
that.
but I don't know how they can. So let's say your backpack with all your gear and everything for hunting, for example. Let's say it weighs 40 pounds, 50 pounds.
Oh, that's light.
So let's say it weighed 50
Hmm.
and you're setting up probably even more if you're doing like a week long base camp, which I think a lot of these people do that are
Yeah.
setting up out in the mountains of Colorado or wherever and hunting an elk.
Yep.
Then you kill one and then you cut off one of the hindquarters and you're lugging out an extra, I don't know how much that even weigh, 40, 50, 60 pounds.
It's
I
more than
mean,
that.
you're just for a leg.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing too, though. Like a lot of those guys, um, they work out to be able to do that.
Yeah, like Cam Haynes.
Yeah, it's like there's actually a company called Mountain Tough that does workouts specifically for hunters, like with the mindset of being able to hike miles and miles into the woods and carry a large animal miles and miles out of the woods.
Yeah, I see the different like a fireman's carry. There's a bunch of different exercises, but they're
And
all
and
about the gear.
and I want people to understand something too. Like a lot of people hear that and they get really like triggered about the idea of killing an animal, but if there wasn't deer hunting in the United States, the entire country would be overrun with deer. The thing that keeps the deer population like where it needs to be in a healthy place is deer hunting, because deer repopulate like crazy.
Yeah, let me give you an example, man. So, unfortunately, whenever Europeaners came over to the States, and at the time, of course, it wasn't the States, and a lot of natives got sick. Like 90% died from maybe
European illnesses.
European illnesses. And then Europeaners came back, they went out west, and they're like, look at all these freaking millions of bison, buffalo, whatever you want to call them. And it's very likely that there wasn't as many, and the natives were keeping those populations in check because they were traveling around killing these bison, and that's what they were living off of for sustenance.
Right.
And then a lot of them died from these illnesses, and then the populations just exploded. Now, there were so many that they were killing them in just wild ways, running off cliffs and stuff. Maybe that was normal back then. I don't know. But I think it was kind of like, you know, how now wild hogs in Texas, you can like go on a helicopter and shoot them out the side of the helicopter because
it's that way in Tennessee now too.
So
Tennessee is really overpopulated.
They may just keep being more and more overpopulated, and we have to keep doing stuff about it. But they were doing that same thing with bison on trains, if I remember correctly. And y'all can fact check me here, but they were just like, you could go on a train and just shoot these for sport out the window of the train with rifles. It's wild.
See,
Just
and I'm not one of these people that's crazy about killing something without a purpose. Like,
oh, you don't want to just post on Facebook your trophy pictures? Is that not why you're...
No. If you're not going to eat it, I don't think you should kill it. I mean, if not, or if you're not going to give it to somebody else to eat, at least. Like, a lot of people don't realize, like, you talk about big game hunters that go out to like Africa, because they have overpopulated animals there as well, and they'll take guys out there and they'll go big game hunting out there. What people don't realize, you know, everybody thinks, oh, they're just going, they're going to get a head and put it on their trophy case. Well, they are going to get the trophy, but all the meat usually goes to small villages in Africa, and it feeds those people. And so the small villages love these hunters coming into town because they have the weapons and the means to hunt for stuff that they can't. And so, you know, as long as I'm a big proponent of, if you're going to kill it, you better have a reason for killing it, either self-defense or you're going to eat the thing.
Yeah, and did you know that that also converts a lot of the poachers into basically like guided hunters? So like, you could pay them, instead of them killing a rhino and cutting off its horn and selling it, or, you know, an elephant and taking its tusks for ivory. That turns them into, because they don't have a job, you know, there's nothing for them to do.
Right.
They're living somewhere there's no economy, I would assume, and that gives them a purpose. And then the money that's being charged for these permits actually goes toward wildlife conservation. I mean, that's what a ton of the money for permits in the U.S. goes for.
Right.
The hunting. Like, you buy a deer tag, I don't know how much they are now. I haven't been deer hunting in 10 years.
I think the combined in Kentucky, the combined deer and fish tag is like $125, I think.
Okay. I remember it used to be 40 for, you could get 2 does or a buck and a doe. And then I guess you could buy another tag if you wanted. I'm not really sure how that works. I'm not up to date on it. I don't do a whole lot of hunting anymore. I mean, I still try to fish from time to time, but yeah, man. Speaking of the self-defense, I sent you a video earlier. You want to get to that during this episode?
Yeah, so I want to ask the question of our listeners. Is there ever a time when taking a gun on a hike is appropriate?
We're definitely getting demonetized on YouTube for this episode.
Probably. We don't make a lot of money on YouTube anyways. We're a podcast. So I'm just asking the question because, well, watch the video and you'll understand why. Here we go.
Yeah, it's about a minute and a half long here.
Okay, well, as you can see, we have a brown bear here. We were hiking through some pretty thick grass here. We startled her, or him, I'm not sure. And it came charging at my dad. He made some noise.
And it went to you.
And then it went straight to me. And thankfully, when I was falling backwards, I was able to unsheath my pistol. And when he was on top of me, absolutely unload like a on top of this guy. So did my father. I'm not sure. I did shoot myself in the leg when I was falling backwards, right here, but it went straight through my leg. I'm not sure if, again, I shot myself when I was falling backwards, or the bear got me. I know he did bite into me. I think I felt that, but I'm not 100% sure. We got an SOS out update. Get the out of here! Papa Bear's here. Update, we got a military helicopter coming to pick us up. Some PJs. RCC.
Rescue Coordinating Center out of Anchorage.
So, they're coming. And I'll tell you what, I am so happy I had a 10 millimeter, and my dad also had a 40.
I'll give a little context there. This guy's name's Tyler Johnson, and he was charged by a bear in South Central Alaska. He's actually with his dad, and his dad is an Alaskan state trooper. And you're probably not going to catch me in the wild in Alaska without some firearm. You know, I don't.
Yeah, that's a whole different world, man.
Yeah, dude. I don't know if you've looked at how big Alaska is and how remote, but if you were to take it and put it over the U.S., it takes up like half the landmass of the U.S. It's insane. You know, it might be a bit hyperbolic, but if you watch the video, if you're on YouTube or Spotify, you can actually see what we were watching. If not, you just heard. He said he shot himself in the leg, and you could see it the bullet went in next to his shin and came out both on top of his leg.
Yeah.
But
that looked miserable.
Yeah, and if you didn't see, there's a dead bear laying right next to him. This bear didn't just run off. It's a big brown bear. I looked to me like it was like 400 or 500 pounds, but I'm not the best at estimating that kind of thing. And what do you think, John? Is this an appropriate time to carry a firearm on trail? I don't know what these guys were doing out there.
You know, man, I'm like you, if I'm in Alaska, it's not like hiking in Kentucky. I always tell people the black bears in the Red River Gorge in Kentucky are like kitty cats. They are not coming anywhere near you. They don't want to have anything to do with you. You know they're there because you'll find scat every once in a while. But they don't do anything. Now, when you get to Alaska, you're not dealing with the same kind of bears. You're dealing with big brown bears, big, scary, grizzly bears. And in some places in Alaska, polar bears. And they're not the same, man. Those things are hunting for food. Like they are, and they're not hunting for berries. They like meat. And so they're hungry. And if you look good and you smell right, you can be dinner.
Well, maybe I read this somewhere, or maybe I'm misinformed, but it's my understanding that brown bear, black bear, grizzly bear are all the same bear, but it's similar to like how humans, like the pigment in your skin. Like if your ancestors come from somewhere close to the equator, then they're going to have darker skin because there's so much light that your body doesn't want to absorb it all. And the darker pigment allows you to not absorb as much vitamin D. And then if you live somewhere like my ancestors, which is probably somewhere around the British Isles or Ireland or somewhere pretty far north, because I'm very pale, your body's so pale because it's trying to absorb so much light because there's not as much, because you're at a disadvantage when it comes to the rays of the sun and the angle that they're hitting the earth, the farther north or south that you live away from the equator. What do you think? Have you heard anything about that? Like the black bear, grizzly bear, and so.
No, but I'm not saying you're wrong either. I just haven't heard that before. You've educated me, Mr. Stringer.
Don't take that to heart, because
no, it's the gospel truth. Now I'm telling everybody. And when they ask where I learned it from, I'm telling them I learned it from Jeremiah Stringer.
But I just do your own research here. Facts are optional. But on that story of this guy, Tyler Johnson, it said that he was taken by helicopter to Anchorage. You heard him talking about in the video that they're, the rescue is coming out of Anchorage. I guess it's military group or something, but he recovered without undergoing any surgical procedures. Insane. And I was like, is this guy in shock or what? Why is he so calm right now? He just survived a bear attack.
Well, I think he got all of the freak out over, like when the bear attacked him. I mean, maybe I'm
Yeah.
crazy, but I would think that you got plenty of freak out of the way when the bear attacked you. I'm sure there was plenty of yelling and colorful language and some madness going on during that time. I could be wrong, but I'm just saying.
Did you hear his dad yelling in the background?
Oh, yeah.
He sounded like he's still pretty freaked out. You know, I guess maybe where there's one bear, there may be more, but I don't know. I'm sad to say, but I'm glad it wasn't me. That is super scary. But for the rest of your life, you can say I survived a bear attack and killed it one-on-one.
But you have to
I was
admit
trying
that
to-
you shot yourself in the leg in the process.
Yeah, that's the bad part. I was trying to see how many people have died as a result of bear attacks in North America.
I don't know. I did find out the price of the combo license we were talking about.
Oh
So,
yeah, what is
in,
it now?
in
I'm
the
sure
state
it
of
went up.
Kentucky? If you get just an annual combination hunting and fishing license, it's $42, and then you've got to get your permits for deer. But if you get a sportsman's license, that includes fishing, hunting, deer permits, spring and fall turkey permits, and Kentucky migratory waterfowl bird permits for $95.
Okay, but this is all Kentucky prices.
That's all
so
Kentucky.
It's gonna range. It's
Yeah,
gonna
but they
range.
do not have that for out of state, but you can get out of state hunting license and things like that for non-residents.
Yeah, I got a buddy that lives up above Cincinnati, and he's got a friend with a farm down here in Kentucky, and he's got to buy his permits and.
It's $185 for non-residents.
That's what I
That's
said.
just deer permits. That's just deer permits. That's not anything else.
So can you not hunt anywhere in Ohio? Because that's a lot. You're spending a lot of extra money to bag that deer. But if that's one of your hobbies, I paid thousands of dollars to go backpacking. I mean, look, we were done the Camino de Santiago, and
Yeah.
that was expensive.
I think it's all about the experience. And the truth is, deer hunting in Kentucky is really good.
Oh yeah,
So-
we got a ton of deer. And I looked up the bears. It says black bear since 2020. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 deaths as a result of black bear in North America. So you got some in Canada, some in the Smokies in September 11th, 2020, and then
Okay, so funny story about that one. Do you want to hear that specific one?
Let me hear the funny story about this bird.
It's technically not funny at all.
Okay.
That guy was killed in his tent.
Oh,
if I remember right, if he was killed in his tent, Josh and I were hiking that day.
No way.
We were backpacking on the trail, heading up to our camp. I think it was the Little River Trail, and
in the
Smokies, and we looked over, and there was this tent all torn to pieces, off like probably 200 yards away, and we're like, "What the heck?" We just stayed away because we're like, if there was a bear, that we didn't want to be near it. So we hiked on up, and we hiked back, and on the way home, we heard somebody had died up in the Smokies, and their tent got torn into. I'm pretty sure we saw the tent.
I have a little excerpt here from this that I'll read to you because I think it's very applicable. And by the way, you're right. That was not funny.
No.
Maduro,
That was definitely facetious.
Maduro, this person's name was Patrick Maduro, not Maduro, 43 male. Maduro was backpacking in the park. His remains were found on September 11, 2020, near the remote Hazel Creek area where he had been camping. Backpackers first found an unoccupied tent at Hazel Creek Campsite 82, then discovered what appeared to be human remains across the creek with a bear scavenging in the area and alerted park rangers. Lastly, an autopsy concluded that Maduro had been killed by the bear. Yeah, dude, that could have been very traumatic for you, man, coming up on that dead body and the bear eating it.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up Hazel Creek because is it Hazel?
Yeah, Hazel. And while you're doing that, I'll tell you on the brown bear. Again, we have, just as you would expect, Canada, because they're going to have a more densely populated brown bear population, and out west like in Montana, several in Montana, Alberta, Montana, and Alaska. So since 2020, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 souls lost to brown bear, mostly in Canada or out west, and then 2 polar bear.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't even know. Yeah, and it keeps going from there. It breaks it down. I'm looking at the Wikipedia, so I'm hoping this is reputable, but it's got it 2010s all the way to 1780s.
Nice.
Yeah. Did you find it, the Hazel Creek?
I'm having trouble finding it. It may not be the same area, but I just remember that we were there in that area and we saw we saw a tent torn to pieces. So it may have been, it may not have been. I don't know. I know they've got that campsite is still closed, by the way.
Wow, since 2020, haven't opened it back up. Well, they might as well turn it into a memorial then for Madura if they're not going to open it back up. That's very sad. Way to end the show on a fun note. That was great.
Hey, but everybody learned how to do the freeze-dried food thing without having a freeze dryer.
That's true. Save some money on the Outdoor Vitals sale. And I will make a quick announcement. We only have, I believe, a few days left until we're starting live stream September the 9th.
Sarah
Kathy Brooks going to be on here, comedian, podcaster, entertainer, and can't wait to talk about her journey on the AT. And dude, I don't know if you finished the book, but there are some stories in there that this family-friendly backpacking podcast won't be touching, but I encourage everybody to read the book because it will have you laughing out loud.
I'm sure it will. Hey, and there's one other thing I need to do, Jeremiah. One other thing I need to do here. Let me see if I can pull this up because I want people to see something here. Are you ready?
Oh yeah, let's see it whenever you're ready.
Let's see, if you're watching online, you'll get to see this. If you're not watching online, you'll get to hear about it. But how about this picture right here, man? Let's get up here where you can see little Jeremiah. Look at that right now, there, dude.
That's a great way to end the show. If you're looking, my wife Bridget and I took little baby Jay, is what we've been calling him, out on his first hike this last weekend. We took him out to Buzzard Rock, which is in McCreary County, Kentucky. It's a little bit of a drive for us, but dude, fantastic. I was sweating to death. I had that, like one of those carriers on that you put your baby in and you wear them around.
Yep.
Worked out great. He's going to be my little hiking buddy, little mini me.
Yep. I mean, I had a carrier for my kids, a little backpack that I would wear, and they'd sit behind me. And I remember I would pull that thing out, set it on the ground, and they would crawl into it as quick as they could. Because they knew if that backpack went on my back, they were going for a hike.
Oh, that's lovely. So cute.
So congratulations on getting back out in the woods, man. I know it's been something you wanted to do for a few minutes, and you haven't been able to.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back. We're back, baby.
That's right. And for myself and Jeremiah, we're 2 weeks away from seeing you live. So from then till now, we'll catch you on the next one.
Adios, folks.